One Piece, Chapter 918, titled Luffytaro Repays a Favor. I honestly kind of love that title. We continue on with I would have to assume, our last trip into dropping in on the lives of the Straw Hat Grand Fleet. Oh, it even says final chapter. My bad. But we have a showing of the various leaders of the Straw Hat Grand Fleet, kind of showing off their own flags and showing off the leaders, Donsai of the Hapo Navy, Bartolomeo of the Barto Club, and Cavendish of the Beautiful Pirates. So I guess we're going to have a little bit of a roll call, and quite possibly we might see what Bellamy ultimately ends up doing with all those various flags he's making. Maybe he's handing out Straw Hat Jolly Rogers to the various members of the Grand Fleet. Well, time will tell. It'll be awesome if somewhere down the line, maybe even in Wano, when Luffy really gets into major trouble with Kaido, all the members of the Grand Fleet will show up waving the colors of the Straw Hat Pirates. That would be amazing. But jumping in on the action, we pop back in with Luffy completely decimating Hold'em. His men are in shock as Luffy catches Tama before she hits the ground. Zoro escapes with Okiku and the lion dog with the giant boat of food and supplies, making their way outside of the town. Luffy, meanwhile, starts to escape from all the people being like, halt, they beat up Lord Hold'em, get those guys, blah, blah, blah. And Luffy manages to spot a horse only to jump on it and discover this horse is part woman. Specifically, this is Speed, another one of the headliners. As she starts to gallop away, Speed starts to kind of jab Luffy in the face, trying to get him off her back. Luffy tells Tama to feed her one of her kibi dongos. Tama, does this, but doesn't think it'll work because it's, Speed's still part human. But Speed promptly, munches right on the dongo and immediately obeys Tama. Although is important to note that, you know, Speed seems to obey Tama specifically, despite the fact that Luffy starts kind of trying to bark orders here and there. He'll say, follow the treasure ship. Speed will say, what seem at least I think it's how that goes. Speed will say, I'm not your servant. Thomas says is like, we'd like you to follow him, and then Speed says, yes, master. So whether this will end up becoming a more permanent thing, kind of like how it's shown with the Hihi, where he seems to have completely turned on his allies. We'll see as the arc goes on if ultimately Speed ends up becoming a steadfast ally of the Straw Hats, which will be hilarious if somewhere down the line Tama promptly starts feeding kibi dongos to the rest of Kaido's men, and all of a sudden all of his subordinates are, following under Tama. That would be amazing. But a lot of Speed's men are just like, they must be blackmailing her or having found one of her weaknesses or something, which is just kind of hilarious. And Tama even makes this cute little note of the fact that Luffy's Red Hawk reminded her very much of Ace, which makes sense since he was inspired by Ace when he created the Red Hawk. So I think that is an absolutely fantastic nod. Meanwhile, at the Bakura town entrance, we have the confrontation between Law and Hawkins. But as soon as Law creates his room, Immediately, Hawkins catches on. It's just like, this power, those tattoos. Oh, it's like you made an alliance with Luffy. It's just like, I love that train of thought. I love it when characters have that train of thought where they're just like, 1 plus 1 equals 2. If 2 equals 4, then that must mean 3 plus 3 equals 6. My God. Law starts to kind of, regardless, Law starts to kind of go in trying to take out Hawkins with a slash, only for us to find that it's not just, deadly attacks that Hawkins can deflect, but all manner of injury that he sees coming, as one of the people working under Hawkins is cut in half instead, although this is Law's power, so, the guy is cut in half, but he's still alive. Hawkins promptly removes his helmet to confirm his suspicions, while Law cuts down the rest of Hawkins' men. And as they start to chat it up a little bit, Law says that it's just like, yeah, I wasn't really gonna kill you. I'm a doctor. That's not really my thing. Hawkins nonchalantly welcomes to Wano country, saying, I haven't seen you since Saboti. How you been? I don't think you're here for the sightseeing. You must be here for your alliance. And Hawkins completely has Law's number, which catches Law off guard because he wasn't expecting to have been figured out so immediately and so easily. So I like the fact that Hawkins just, it's like, check out the big brain on Tad. Like, seriously, Hawkins is a planner, and I really like that. It shows a great deal of his skill. And Law's just freaking out, just like, this is the worst possible situation. We've been discovered. Everything we've been working towards has been wrecked in a matter of, minutes. This is ridiculous. And to make matters worse, in comes Zoro on the treasure ship, just bounding through the whole situation's Law is in, and Law manages to jump onto the treasure ship, and he is like pissed. It's like, what did you do? Like, my God, you caused all of this trouble. You got on the wanted list. Everything you've done is going to end up calling Jack out here. You were supposed to be a wandering Ronin. You weren't supposed to cause all this kind of trouble and havoc. It's completely hilarious. Meanwhile, once they manage to arrive in Leftover Town, they just start throwing the food towards the masses. And we see some scenes of like desperation and sadness. This one scene where this woman is about to stab her baby with a noose, right beside her so she can hang herself afterwards. It's like, man, that is dark. That is dark. But, everyone starts going gaga over all this food. A few of the headliners a few of the gifters in town come out trying to suppress them, being like, hey, those aren't leftovers yet. And they're promptly smashed by this giant thing of water that Luffy's just like, here you go. Poison-free water, money-free too. Take it as you please. My name's Luffytaro. Tell them that I sent you all this goodies. And people are just like, oh my God, thank you, Luffytaro. This is incredible. And Luffy greets Law like it's nothing. And Law's just like, dude, this is a rebellion. You've staged a rebellion. Like, what have you done? And Luffy's just like, I'm just repaying a favor that Tama did for me. And then he jumps in to get in on the food. Meanwhile, Hawkins is just standing nonchalantly in the decimation that was Bakura Town, with fire around him, Hold'em's unconscious, Speed is missing. His men have all been cut in half. It is pandemonium in Bakura Town. And he's just relaying everything back. It's just like, Yeah, it was a problematic situation. I doubt I could have actually done anything, which I'm still under this impression that Hawkins is playing them. He is playing an angle. You know, all of the worst generation have been shown to be playing their own kind of angle, and with the amount of ambition we've seen just emanating off of so many members of the worst generation, I very much doubt Hawkins is even taking any of this seriously. He's just like, hmm, that was interesting. I'll probably use this calamity and destructions as a way of getting out, or maybe even taking Kaido's head. He's definitely up to something. And Luffy sits around while Tama's eating an apple. It's just like, just you wait, Tama. I'm gonna make sure one day you'll be able to eat your fill every day, which is the exact same words that Ace had told to Tama years ago, and she even starts crying, not really understanding the whole situation since Luffy hasn't told Tama about his relationship to Ace. And we close out our chapter with Zoro kind of being like, Luffy always getting so caught up in the situation, and Law's just like, no, you do not get to speak. And he tells Luffy that, hey, we're moving on, we're going to the ruins of Odin Castle, where you're gonna meet Wano's ghost, which is a situation that even Zoro found surprising. There's some kind of unbelievable truth hidden underneath the graves of the Kozuki clan and their retainers. So, will we discover that Odin had actually survived? Probably not, but it'd be interesting. Um, we're also probably just where Raiden and Momosuke and um, Raizo and Kinemon, you know, and Kanjuro have all been just kind of hanging out, staying out of trouble for the most part. They can't really go out if they're supposed to apparently be dead, and you can't have people who are, of the Kozuki clan in any capacity because, all the headliners perk up their ears and go in for the kill if you so much as mention the old regime. So, where we will ultimately go with all of this is unknown. Who is this bandit king leader that Hold'em was talking about? Will we be introduced to him? Have we already met him? That's very much up in the air as well. And what is Hawkins about? I know he's playing an angle. He has to be. He's too. It's weird. It's like seeing any kind of dedication just doesn't sit right with me. It's just like, yeah, no, you can't be serious about this situation, but only time will tell. But that's all I have to say about this chapter. Tell me your thoughts in the comment section below. Leave me a like or dislike depending on how you felt about the video, and subscribe for more issues of One Piece in the land of Wano. Thanks for joining.